Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a different type of video. I'm going through every number 2 draft pick from every AFL draft since 2000 and redrafting them from 1 all the way up to 24. That's right, from 2000 to 2024. Every number 2 draft pick in order. Now, I've already done this for the number 1 draft pick, so make sure you check that video out. Now, if you didn't watch my last video, the way I basically do this is I rank this list based off accolades. 1, are they big game player, leadership, and different attributes like that. Technical ability, body of work, how many games did they play, how good were they in their positions. And then for those younger players who have barely played or only played a handful of games, I'm predicting how good they'll be. So keep that in mind when I choose some of these younger players higher up than those who have played 100, 150 games. It is a prediction based off what have we seen from those young players and do we think they're going to reach that potential. Starting off all the way down in number 24, I have got Jonathan O'Rourke. I bet you many don't know that name. He was drafted at GWS in 2012. He played 21 games. Absolutely useless. I'm sorry, that's pretty harsh actually, but he kicked 4 goals, no Brownlow votes, no accolades. That's pretty much it with Jonathan O'Rourke. I think we can move swiftly on to number 23, Scott Gumbleton. In 2006, he was drafted to the Essendon Football Club. What an absolute stupid draft signing that was. He played 35 games. He did kick 45 goals, so maybe he was wrongly delisted because he's kicking over a goal a game. So I don't know what the Essendon Football Club are doing there, but Scott Gumbleton, one of the funnier names and one of the funnier careers. Unfortunately, those two did not reach their potential. Like the next guy hasn't and probably will continue not to. Josh Schache, I have got all the way down in 22nd place. Josh Schache is so frustrating.
He was drafted in 2015. I mean, the players who haven't had a good career are always frustrating because they're a high draft pick. They're meant to be amazing, but they're not. This guy was frustrating because he's had 3 opportunities. Brisbane, it didn't work out. Sure thing.
He goes to the Dogs and it doesn't work out. And now he finds himself at the Melbourne Football Club where it's not working out. It is not looking good for him. He should be hitting his prime right now. I mean, he would be 27 odd years old and he's just not hitting that prime. He's played 76 games. He's kicked 79 goals, so just over a goal a game. 1 Brownlow vote, but just a super frustrating player. In 21st, I have got Harley Bennell, who was drafted to the Gold Coast Football Club. Also went to Fremantle later on in his career, but barely played because of injuries. This one's unfortunate because injuries got the better of him, and also just some other external life factors. He played 88 games, kicked 98 goals. He did get 26 Brownlow votes, so he was a decent player. In fact, I kind of feel bad for putting him below the next person, but I think I'm also basing this off frustration, not being able to get his career on track, which kind of pissed me off. In 20th, who arguably should have been 21st, Harley Bennell's probably better, but whatever, we'll stick with it. I've got Jack Trengove, in 20th, not Jackson. Jack Trengove for the Melbourne Football Club, drafted in 2009. He played 89 games, kicked 39 goals, but that's not his position. And he got the 1 Brownlow vote. Could have been something, wasn't anything, to be completely honest. Went to Port Adelaide, stunk up the gaff there. Unfortunate career, which won't be remembered. One of the first young players coming up in 19th place, I've got Riley Thilthorpe. I've been pretty underwhelmed with Riley Thilthorpe. He's had plenty of opportunity with Tex Walker getting older and older. I mean, Tex Walker's playing football with a fucking walking stick. That's how fucking old he is. And Riley Thilthorpe still can't stand up. No disrespect considering he's injured this season or has been for the start, but I'm just not impressed by him. I think it's an underwhelming career thus far, and I don't think it's going to be that good. He's giving me shades of Schache, not quite as bad, but he's played 46 games, kicked 44 goals with 2 Brownlow votes. Unfortunate because he was drafted in 2020. He's got loads of time left. In 5 years when we record this, he could be in the top 10. He could catch like a flame. But for the time being, my prediction is he won't. In 18th place, I've got Will Ashcroft. The reason I have him this low is I do have fears that ACL injury will hamper his, ability to progress, to grow, to be that player, to fulfill that potential. Founder of Wash on TikTok, if anyone knows, But unfortunately for him, he has only played the 18 games. He's exciting. He's got 10 Brownlow votes. I just put him low. Look, you have to put some of these players low. This list, apart from the first 4, are full of absolute world-class, Australian world-class players. So it is low, but also the players above are just spectacular. On the basis that we're just not sure, I'm not sure how he's going to bounce back from this ACL injury. Will it hamper his progress? Probably. In 17th place, I've got Colby McKercher, just drafted to North Melbourne. Already looking exciting, but you can't really say much. I had Harley Reid super high up in, the redraft for number 1 draft picks. Colby, I don't think is as exciting as Harley Reid, and I If I had to make a prediction, he won't get to that level, which is why he's not as high as I had Harley Reid. He's still relatively decent up. I mean, I've got 7 names above him, which is pretty good. In 16th place, I've got Sam Darcy. Big, fucking, absolutely massive, tall key forward. For the Doggies, he's starting to play. Which is, it's about time. I could have had him lower, but I do think based on his height, the name as well, you know, the bloodline, and also just the talent. He's starting to look like a really good player. Drafted in 2021 to the Dogs, 10 games, 9. Or at the time of recording, that is. By the time this is released, probably something around 20 games, 20 goals you would hope, but we're not really sure. Bevo's useless. He might play someone else for no reason. Could be a really good player, but a little bit of a risky one there. In 15th place, I've got Jack xoxoxo. Jack xoxoxo was drafted in 2018. He's played 100 games, he's kicked over 60 goals, and has the 13 Brownlow votes. The problem with Jack xoxoxo for me is he just isn't fulfilling his potential at Gold Coast. Really talented, he can play loads of positions. I'm sure he could play ruck, but he can play forward, he can play backline. I'm sure he can play wing, play through the midfield if he wants. He could be a coach, fucking everything else, mate. You got it all in the locker. Really exciting player and a really good young talent, but I'm not sure he's ever going to reach those heights. He's an Adelaide boy, so I feel like if he goes to Port Adelaide, he might, but not as hyped about him as some of the other names coming up. In 14th place, I've got Andy Brayshaw. I've been a little bit disappointed with Andy Brayshaw. I thought he was a phenomenal player in his first couple of years, over 130 games, you know, around 45 goals. The 55 Brownlow votes. We've got some awards here. 2022 All-Australian, 2022 MVP, and the 2022 Best and Fairest. But the thing with him is I think he's just not going to be that player. I think Sarong's overtaken him, and he will continue to do so. I do like Brayshaw, but I don't think he's going to reach the height. I don't think he'll ever be a top 10 midfielder. That sounds really harsh, but that's probably why he's low, but in 5 years' time, he could be higher. In 13th place, I've got Andrew Walker, famous name for the Carlton Football Club. Drafted in 2003, 202 games, 139 goals, 24 Brownlow votes. One of the greatest marks of all time against Essendon. One of the Streets Won't Forget players. A classic, a hood classic. He wasn't anything super special, didn't win any awards, so you could argue fucking Brayshaw's already had a better career, but yeah, look, Brayshaw will probably finish ahead of him at the end of his career, but the time being, I think purely because of that X factor he has, he's above him. In 12th place, I have got Timothy Taranto, who I think is very overrated. He's played around 150 games, 70 goals, 52 Brownlow votes, Best and Fairest in 2019 for the GWS Giants, Richmond's best player last season alongside Dustin Martin. Probably should have won an award there, and probably should have got All-Australian as well. He'll have a better career than Brayshaw, if I had to guess. It's hard to tell. He's done so well for Richmond since he's come in. You know, people had him as a Brownlow winner in last year, 2023. People genuinely had him predicting to win the Brownlow. Most had him top 5, top 6. But he misses out. And that's why he's in 12th place. In 11th place, I've got the 2000 draft pick, or number 2 draft pick, Justin Kazitsky. 200 games, 247 goals, 33 Brownlow votes, and the rising star in 2001, the first one thus far. The unfortunate thing for him, his injuries and some other things got the better of him. He had a great career, unfortunately didn't win a flag. Could be frustrating at times, but another hood classic. Really good in the prime of his career. In 10th place, into the top 10 now, I've got Stephen Canelio. I think a little bit better than Tim Taranto. There were a couple of GWS players coming up, but the thing with Canelio is technically a captain, didn't work out for him, but I still think he's a good leader. He's played 210-ish games, or over 210 games, over 120 goals, 73 Brownlow votes. He never made an All-Australian, but he did make the All-Australian 40 original list, which is not really an accolade, but he made that in 2016 and 2023. He had the most disposals last year, throughout the whole year, including finals, which is pretty impressive. And he's continuing to do well in 2024. And that's why he's in 10th place. In 9th place, I have got Noah Anderson, who is an absolute star boy. This is very much a prediction, but already he's played nearly 100 games. He's kicked over 30 goals, 44 Brownlow votes, Best and Fairest in 2023, 40 All-Australian player in 2023. He will make All-Australian this year, no doubt about it. He's probably top 5, top 10 players in the comp right now. Time recording, round 5, round 6. Carrying Gold Coast. He is so exciting, so good. He's a Richmond fan, so oh my God, I'm fucking praying he comes to Richmond, but part of me thinks he might not. Yeah, but that one's very much based off what I think he can become. In 8th place, I've got Josh Kelly. I think Josh Kelly is one of the most underrated players for the last 10 years. People think he's just this decent midfielder with a good left foot. He's more than that. He's played over 200 games, 130 goals, 88 Brownlow votes, All-Australian 2017, best and fairest in 2017 and 2021, and the All-Australian 40 in 2022. Should have won a flag, but GWS were unlucky not to win one. He's a leader as well in the leadership group, has been for a long time, super consistent player, and for the last 2 years, he's gone super under the radar with the GWS Giants. He's been one of the premier midfielders in the comp, but he's just not recognised enough, and I think it's about time that he was recognised. In 7th place, I've got Dale Thomas, purely on the basis that he was just so exciting. 258 games, 155 goals, 23 Brownlow votes, a premiership in 2010, the first premiership thus far on this list, indubitably, so that, he won that, and he made the All-Australian in 2011. One of the greatest barrels of all time as well. He's just a hood classic. So exciting. The hair as well. Brilliant player at Carlton too. Very much underrated at Carlton, what he did there defensively, and just bringing some experience to Mick Malthouse's team at the time. Really good player, and that's why I've got him in 7th place. But in 6th place, you could argue I have an equally as exciting, if not more exciting talent. He kicked that famous Jackie Chan goal in the goal square, snatching it out the ruck. I've got Daniel Wells, who played for the North Melbourne Football Club and the Collingwood Football Club. Now, in 2002, he was drafted to the Roos, where he played the majority of his career. 258 games in total, however, 166 goals alongside the 73 Brownlow votes. A best and fairest in 2011 and 2013, an AFLCA Young Player of the Year in 2004, AFLPA First in 2003, and the All-Australian 40 in 2011 and 2013. Technically speaking, he never made it All-Australian, but body of work of Daniel Wells, the X factor, the ability, in terms of a player's ability in a big game, in a one-off game, I want him more than anyone else I've mentioned so far. Super exciting, super good, maybe a little bit high. If I'm really basing this off predictions, Anderson will have a better career. Kelly Underwood, fuck me. Josh Kelly would also have a better, but I love Daniel Wells and I think he deserves 6th place. Moving into my top 5 now. In 5th place, I have got Luke Ball, who was drafted to St Kilda in 2001. He played 223 games for Saints and Collingwood, where he won that famous flag, that famous transfer. The year after he went to Collingwood, he beat St Kilda in that grand final. He kicked 91 goals, 39 Brownlow votes, All-Australian in 2005, best and fairest in 2005, and that famous premiership. He kicked the decisive goal against Hawthorn in that prelim, which, one of the greatest goals in Collingwood's history, because of the significance of it. Brilliant player. He really got lucky when he made that move, which was such a ballsy move. Good on him. And also just a really fucking nice bloke. A leader as well. Phenomenal on baller. Brilliant big game player, and he finds himself in 5th. In 4th place, I've got a guy who's played nearly 200 games. Not quite, at least at the time of recording. 180 games alongside the 98 Brownlow votes. He's won many All-Australians. He is the Truck. Christian Petrarca, drafted in 2014 to the D's. He's won the flag in 2021. He won the Norm Smith in 2021 as well. So massive big game player. 4-time All-Australian winner 2020, 21, 22 and 2023. Alongside best and fairest in 2020 and 2023. He is a massive player. Big game player. Phenomenal footballer. For me, he's been a top 5 footballer in the league for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Explosive, exciting, midfield work, forward work as well, great forward craft. And on TikTok, he could cook up a fucking feast. In 3rd place, I've got Jared Roughhead, who was drafted to the Hawthorn Football Club, where he played 283 games there. He kicked 578 goals, alongside the 59 Brownlow votes. Now the thing with Ruffy, he did win 4 flags, 2008, 2013, 14, 15, 3-peat with Hawthorn as well. The Coleman Medal in 2013, alongside All-Australian in 2013 and 2014. Roughhead was a phenomenal player. He would have made probably the top 2, if not number 1 on this list, if it wasn't for the health scares, the health factors. I think, apart from Buddy, Jack, Nick Revolt, and maybe someone like a Tom Hawkins, Josh Kennedy, he's probably not quite at that level, but for most of his career, top 5 forward, key forward, I think. Even when Buddy left, he shone bright. Even when Buddy was there, he shone bright, winning the Coleman in 2013. Great career, leader as well, was a captain. Easily could be top 2, but I've got him in 3rd place because at number 2, I've got a player who was better in his position, a ruckman, Nick Natanui. Now, Nick Natanui, fucking hell, drafted in 2008, has since retired to the West Coast Eagles. 213 games alongside the 112 goals, 33 Brownlow votes. Obviously, he's a ruck, so, the awards are hard for him and the goals as well. All-Australian in 2012, massive leap, and then All-Australian in 2020 and 2021. Best and fairest in 2020 and 2021, and an All-Australian 40 in 2015. The reason I have him above Roughhead, like I said, is Nick Nat for me, alongside Gawn and Dean Cox, have been the best rucks since 2000, Whereas I think since 2000, the best key forwards, you would probably put 3 or 4 above Roughhead, at least. maybe 5. And purely on that basis, I've got Nick Nat ahead of him, even though he didn't win a flag, didn't have all the awards and accolades like Jaridio Ruffheadinho did. And that leads us to number 1 of the redraft of number 2 draft picks. We have got 3-time flag winner, 3-time premiership flag winner, not for Hawthorn, for the Richmond Football Club. It is Trent Cotchin. Just retired. He's played 306 games, 141 goals, alongside 148 Brownlow votes, being by far, he doubles the next best, which is Daniel Wells at 73. He has had it, oh actually no, sorry, Christian Petrarca and Josh Kelly have more than half. Anyway, he's got nearly 150 Brownlow votes. He won the All-Australian in 2012, technically won the Brownlow in 2012 as well, but I think Watson deserves it, but let's move on from that. AFL CR Player of the Year in 2012, Best and Fairest in 2011, 12 and 14, All-Australian 40 in 2018. Premiership, as I said, in 17, 19 and 20, those of which were as a captain. Premierships in 2017, 2019, 2020 as a captain, like I already mentioned. One of the greatest captains of all time. Maybe not quite at that Pendles-Selwood level, but definitely next best. One of Richmond's greatest leaders of all time. I mean, he's played over 300 games. No one else in this list has played over 300 games. The closest was Jared Ruffett at 283. So make of that what you want. He definitely deserves it though. Absolutely phenomenal player. Very much underrated. Was hated for a lot of reasons I don't agree with, but definitely number 1. And I don't think you can argue with that. And that concludes the redraft of the number 2 draftees from 1 to 24. Let me know in the comments what your redraft would be. Where did I go wrong? Who have I overrated, underrated, etc., etc. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow the TikTok, FTFooty as well. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in another video.